We have a man in the White House who is more interested in campaigning for re-election than he is to stay at home and manage the affairs of our government. If I still had my corporations and I'd hired such a person as Mr. Obama, he maybe would have lasted 30 days because he, in a management style, is incompetent, he has no experience, and he wouldn't deserve the right to be employed through one of the companies I used to own. Now, is such a man capable of leading the United States, who ducks from responsibility, who will not take an issue, who would rather go play golf, who would rather go on very expensive regal joints around the United States and send his family on the Air Force series of jets that we pay for to see a bullfight in Spain, to go to South America and play golf with some people, and our version of Rome was in Washington burning. The fire is a lot hotter now. The events that happened to this nation bring everything to focus. Now, let me summarize some things here. I was taught in my management training to never flag a problem unless you had a solution. I have a few top-level solutions, and there are an awful lot more that go down. Number one, the leaders of the Senate and of the House of Representatives, 4 of you, get together and form a joint session of Congress to condemn the actions by Egypt and by Libya as an act of war against the United States. Put that to the President as a joint congressional resolution. Senator Reid, quit being a pansy for the President. You have stopped and blocked every bill passage from even discussion on the Senate floor for over 3 years. This is the first time in the history of our nation where we're, after 3 years going on year 4, we do not have a congressionally mandated budget to decide on how to spend the money. We're giving the President awesome access to slush funds and money because you guys can't come to an agreement. The President is walking into the vacuum, Senator Reid, that you and your colleagues have caused. Now, Congressman Boehner, you're not lily white in this either. You have some of that ink on you as well. The Congress has to find a way in the next 2 months. Forget about going home to campaign. Most of you do not deserve re-election because of the lousy job you have done on behalf of your constituents and of the American people in general. Now a few of you are popping up as the chairman of this committee or that committee with outrage on what just happened. In the past years, you have denied trying to seek a compromise among your friends on the other side of the aisle. We are stuck. Our national debt has been increased during the 3.5 or so years of the Obama administration by over $5 trillion. No other president in the history of the world has been so egregious with the giving away or the spending of American money. There's a rumor going out that $700 million was sent by this president to help the European medical plan that came out of the American Treasury. There are bailouts here, there are bailouts there, done primarily, from what I know and from what I have seen, for political expediency. Forget recess to get elected. Stay in session until you get a budget. Secondly, the Congress has the power to turn off the spending ability of any president. Turn it off. In the election process, any president, and I know from being there, any president has the power to spend money, to use Air Force One, to use all kinds of things that the taxpayer pays for, where the campaign should be paying. That's not happening. When the Nobel Prize was awarded to Mr. Obama, the government sent 2 large aircraft to the ceremony. Mr. Obama was already in Europe doing something in England, allegedly having cheeseburgers at the American embassy. Mrs. Obama and family were flown from here, I believe, on another 747. The spending of money to give them luxury treatments where a first-class ticket, if you bought out the entire first-class section for the security service, you would save a ton of money. Let's put an end to that. Put an end to the executive office spending. Thirdly, there are a bunch of czars that Mr. Obama has hired that work in the White House and in the executive office building that have never been vetted by the Congress. These people are at the high pay grades. They advise the president directly with no oversight of who they are or where they come from. It was told to me some time ago that at least one of these people in the White House is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. Gee, and who just attacked America? A nation now led by the Muslim Brotherhood. On that point, it is the power of the nation that America places an embassy to provide for the security outside the walls of the American embassy or the consulate. The president of Egypt had intelligence that there was something about to happen on the afternoon of September 11 this year against the American embassy. He sat on his hands, did not order the Army and the Air Force to stand to and protect the walls of that embassy. They let the attack occur. Therefore, the government of Egypt is 100% culpable in the damages done and the loss of publicity. The same thing can be said for Libya, even though the government of Libya is in formation. They had intelligence that some radical Muslim group was going to attack the consulate. The ambassador was the target of the attack. No one except some loyal Libyans who remember the good that America did in that country stood up for our people. They took the ambassador to the hospital, not the army of Libya. No one in the power did anything. Both of these nations, and now the government of Yemen, has allowed another group to attack our embassy. Any nation that cannot provide security for our embassies and consulates should have the American presence removed until they can certify and do so. Further, you people in the Congress should not approve any money for Egypt. Any money that is not spent for Egypt, for Libya, for Yemen, and anyone else that attacks America should be withdrawn and take away the largesse that we've been funding these nations for over 40 years. America did a negative support of what has been called the Arab Spring. We did not take a position. We showed the Muslim world in the Mediterranean and elsewhere in the world that America is weak. It is weak because this president is not standing up, using the office of the president as the power of the greatest nation in the world. Quite the converse. I believe he's trying to diminish America so we become a has-been and hasten the establishment of the caliphate. Maybe he wants to be the first caliph. He won't be the first caliph.